Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of A Gardener's Journey Homestead. I am Barbara. Thank you so much for coming by today. I'm in my tunnel. The weather is amazing. It's beautiful. And you know, sometimes you can't say that in October, but today I can. I looked at the weather forecast and first frost is on its way in 10 days or less. So I am enjoying this weather until it gets here. But I'm in the tunnel today and we got a couple of things to do. But one of the things that I want to do is I am going to teach, show, and demonstrate to you guys how to do microgreens. I'm so excited because to me, this is something that anybody can do. You do not have to be a long-time gardener. You do not have to have a huge plot of land. You don't have to have a raised bed. This is something that you can do in your house if you needed to. And so I'm excited today to walk you through the beginning process of how to start microgreens. And we're going to talk about why you should, what's needed, what's required, and how to do it. So it's going to be a step-by-step walkthrough of how to do that. But first, I'm down here in the tunnel. I'm going to water so we can get all that situated. And then I'm going to meet you at the seed starting table and we'll get started with the first step. Okay. So we're at the seed starting table. Let's talk about why you should grow microgreens. As soon as I get started, there go my dogs. What microgreens are and all that. So for those of you who are very unfamiliar with microgreens and all of that, I'm going to give you a very high level, I hate to say uneducated, but I'm not the expert. I've learned how to do it, and I'm again taking you on my journey, showing you. But microgreens are much more nutrient dense than when you just grow the plant to full maturity, right? And so I remember growing up, people would always talk about sprouting, and we would have like alfalfa sprouts on sandwiches. And it's one of those things like it didn't taste good, but I knew it was good for me. And alfalfa sprouts, they used to sell them like in the grocery store and things like that. And so the difference between, so if you're familiar with sprouting, this is similar, except sprouting is done in water. Microgreens are started in soil. Okay, so when you sprout, you start in water. But with microgreens, you start in soil, just like you do a plant. But essentially, it is the same plant that you would grow, except we're going to capture it, cut it, harvest it, whatever word you want to use, at its after it does its first set of leaves, the cotyledon leaves. And that is way more nutrient dense than the plant itself, right? So where can you use microgreens? A lot of people will use them in smoothies, in salads, on top of omelets. Chefs use them as part of decorating the plate. If you go to like a high-end restaurant, they may have some microgreens on the side or something like that. They are edible, but they also can be used as a garnish. Tacos, fajitas, anywhere where you would probably use lettuce or something like that, mix them in with your salad. So many nutrients. Like I said, very nutrient dense. And when I tasted some, well, let me back up. Do y'all remember when kale became like the big thing on the scene? It became like a superfood. Like kale's been around, but in the last 5 years, kale like blew up. It was on everybody's menu, Panera. Everybody was talking about kale and this superfood and all of that. Kale always been a superfood. It's not anything new, but it was like this craze about kale. So I would say there is a similar craze about microgreens. There's still tons of people who don't know what microgreens are, who have never heard of them, but there's this whole other side of community that absolutely know what microgreens are, and they get them. Now, I've never found them in my local grocery store. I've heard that you can get them at like Fresh Market. Somebody said Whole Foods. I've never seen them in my Whole Foods, but maybe you can. But here's the thing, you can grow your own, and it only takes 7 to 14 days on average. 7 to 14 days on average. So it's a very quick result. It's nutrient dense, and you don't need a lot of equipment. You don't need a garden. You don't need to be outside. You don't have to have any of that. So that this is something that anybody can do. If you want to incorporate some healthy stuff into your diet, if you want to increase your nutrition and uptake, this is a great way to start. And when I say relatively easy, I think it's relatively easy. Now, I just started doing microgreens this year, and I've had a lot of trial and error. The last time I did it was like, okay, we have a winner. So I'm going to try to replicate the same thing that I've been doing, and hopefully it turns out this way on this video. If it don't, then I guess you won't see the video, but hopefully we'll be able to replicate, and I'll just show you some tips and tricks I've learned of doing it and all of that. So let's get started. My trays here. So here are the trays that I use. These are 10-20 shallow trays. So you can see that it is very shallow. You do not want to use a deep tray for this. Why? Because you got to fill it up with soil, right? And this is the thing. Once your microgreens grow, you get rid of that soil and you compost it. I've never reused the soil and try to put microgreens in it again. And everything that I've read and researched says that you shouldn't do that, right? So you want to use a shallow tray because you only need that much soil for it to grow. So not your deep 10-20 trays. You can see that these have holes in the bottom. This is a it's optional. You can, if you have a shallow 10-20 tray that does not have holes, you can still use it. I bought these so that I could bottom water when it gets to a certain stage. Instead of me watering overhead, I can put this in a flat, no holes 10-20 tray, and then I can water from the bottom, right? So it's optional, but if you're buying one, I would suggest that you get the one with the holes. Now, other people have done microgreens in like little Tupperware containers and things like that. Can you do all that? Yes, you can. I'm watching this wasp. You can do that just like you can do, like people start their seedlings in solo cups and things like that. So I'm telling you what I use, and I'm telling you the ideal, but it's not the absolute. You can use whatever you have. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fill it up with soil. And you use the same type of soil that you would use for anything else. So this is just potting mix that I'm going to spread across in here. And I think for the purpose of demonstration, I'm just going to do one. I was going to do two, but I think now I'm just going to do one. Just because I'm just demonstrating, and I won't be able to eat them all before I leave. Now, one thing is, the microgreens that I did 2 or 3 weeks ago, they are still fresh in my crisper drawer. They last a long time if you don't rinse them as soon as you harvest them, right? Just rinse them before you get ready to use them, kind of like you do any leafy green or lettuce. So I'm just filling this up with soil. And the key is that you want to get to the top rim of the tray. That's very, very important. So you can still see that I got some there. I'm still not at the top. You want to get to the very top. So I'm just kind of breaking up some of these pieces. I'm going to add a little bit more. See if that'll get us where we need to be. Now, this video is going to be over the course of a week or so. I'll be stopping in, checking on it, and letting you guys see how the progress is going, so you can see the process from beginning to end, right? So we're starting today, but this video will take, you know, a week or so until they get done. So getting it up to the top, you can see this side is pretty much up to the top, but I still need a little bit more over there. The reason why you want to make sure it's to the top is that when it's time to harvest, you want to be able to have a clean cut, right? And so if your soil is below the ridge of this tray, when you go to try and cut it to harvest it, then your knife or whatever is going to get into the soil and your microgreens are going to be dirty. Now, does that mean you can't use them? No, it doesn't mean that you can't use them, but it's just extra work, right? So if you get it up to the top, you can have a clean cut to where there is no dirt at all on your microgreens when you know how to cut it. That way, if you're selling this, which we're going to start selling this probably next year, if I'm selling it, I can make a clean cut. I can package it. It's ready to go. I don't have to rinse it and wash it before I sell it to a customer because it doesn't have any dirt on it. And then obviously they can wash it before they get ready to use it. And that's going to extend the refrigerator life if I don't sell them a product that's already been rinsed and washed, if that makes sense. But I wouldn't sell it if it had dirt on the bottom because that's not a good, representation. So you can see that I have this all the way up to the line. I'm going to add a little bit more just because it's much better to get a clean cut in the end. It makes life a lot easier than having to rinse in the very beginning. Okay, so that is up to the top. Now I'm just going to take this extra tray that I was going to use to do 2, and I'm going to press this on the top, and that's just to kind of set everything in place, like to just give it a smooth finish, so to speak, if that makes sense. So you're just pressing it to make sure that it's all in there. Okay, so then next, all you got to do is put your seeds in. So let me tell you what seeds we're gonna do today. So I am going to do cabbage microgreens. That is one of the easier ones. And then I was gonna do broccoli, but I'm only gonna do one for demonstration. And then I can certainly, we can, you know, if you guys like this, I can always take you, because it's the same process. It doesn't matter which green it is. Now some of the things are way more finicky, like sunflower microgreens. I've tried those. I have not been successful with those yet. Those take longer and they are a little bit more finicky. But cabbage and broccoli have been the two for me that have been the easiest. So I buy mine from Johnny Seeds. This is Tokyo Bacana. It's a cabbage microgreen. It tastes really, really, really good. Really, really good. So one of the keys is that when you get ready to do your seeds, you want to make sure that you are putting your seeds evenly across, because what happens is if you don't, as they grow, it's going to be spotty if it's not evenly covered. I've learned that many times the hard way. And what you want is just a plush, I say plush, like it's just completely covered. You guys have seen my picture of the microgreens. You want to be completely covered, every inch, plush, all the way across microgreens. Now I'm going to try something new. Normally I just either do it with my hand or I have a little cup that I use. I'm going to try something new that I saw on somebody else's. This is an old spice jar that I've rinsed out and dried. And I'm going to put the seeds in here. Well, you know what? That still has some moisture in it. I don't want to do that, but let me show you the concept. So what I saw this person doing, because it has the holes, and you know what? Yeah, it has the holes. They were shaking and it was easy for it to come out. I want this to be completely dry. I don't want to put my seeds in there because it's not completely dry. It's hard to get my thing in there to dry it out. So let me just show you the old way that I do it. Because again, I don't want you to try to do it. Oh, I got to have one of these in order to start. You don't have to have one of these. I just waited until I had one of these that was empty. And I'm like, oh, let me use it. I have not been using that. So let me show you what I've been doing. Okay, so I just put them in this little cup right here. So, and I've done it by hand. But to me, this is a little bit easier. You'll have to get the hang of how many seeds and how much it takes to fill up, you know, your tray. I had the measurement, but I don't remember where it is. So anyway, sorry about that. But you can see what the seeds look like. Very, very small, right? And so all we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle these evenly. Let me see if I can bring you a little bit closer. We're just going to go evenly, as much as you can, side to side, whichever direction. Always make sure that you get the corners, because it's very easy to not get the corners. And also, I hope you notice that I did not water the soil first. Okay, so can you see? Let's see if you can see that. Okay, so I can see it's a lot here, but it's a little spotty here. So I'm going to go through with some more seeds. Okay, I poured some more seeds in my cup, and again, you look at it and just see where it needs more seeds, right? You want it to be pretty even so that you don't have a lot of holes and stuff as you're going through. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. So now I'm going to water. Now I have done it both ways. Again, I did a lot of research. I've watched a few people, and when I first started doing microgreens, I would wet my soil first, right? And then put the seeds in there. But the last time I did it, where I had great success, I did not water my seeds ahead of time. And I watched somebody else do it, and I did it that way, and it turned out good. So, and the reason is because the seeds can, if you put them in here and the soil is already wet, then the seeds can like move around and all of that. But now we're going to give it a good watering. And then also what you will hear some people say is that they watered the soil first, put the seeds down, and then every day they were watering. That's not what I do, right? Again, I found the way that works for me. And so this is what I do, and I'm showing you my way. If you've already done microgreens and you have success and you do it a different way, then keep doing what you're doing. If you have never done it and you want to try it, then I invite you to try this way and see if you have some success. So let me grab the water and show you me watering it. Okay, so I'm going to water this really, really good, because we're not going to water it again until after we uncover it. So I'm watering this really good, making sure that it gets extremely saturated. I'm turning it on mist now. I had it on shower first. Okay, so that should be good and watered. Okay, next step. Let me get another tray. Hold on one second. So this is the tray when it's time that I would put under it to do the bottom watering, and I will put the water in here. We're going to use this tray and we're going to cover this just like this, right? And this, some people call like this the blackout phase or whatever. So I'm going to water this, and then you want to put something heavy on here to push this down. Why? Because it's almost simulating like, so imagine when you put a seed in the ground in the dirt, right? It's covered under the dirt. And so what's the best way to explain? Yeah, it's covered under the dirt. So this is kind of to simulate it being covered under the dirt and not just the light on it, because this is not a light. It's not a seed that needs light to germinate. It still needs darkness to germinate. So you're going to cover it, but then you're going to put something extremely heavy on it. So I have this pail of some fertilizer that I use. It's probably, I don't know, 20 pounds or so. I've used a brick, like a paving stone before, but something with some weight to kind of keep this pressed down is all you need. And y'all, that is it. That's the starting step. That is the most, I would say, difficult step. And that's not even difficult. So let me tell you what's going to happen from here. So basically, I am going to let this sit on here until the seeds germinate. And you're probably saying, well, how are you going to know they germinated? Because it's going to start pushing up from the tray. You will see in a few days when we come out here, you'll be able to see that the stuff is pushing up. I am not going to water it. I am not going to lift this. I am not going to touch this until I see the seeds have germinated, right? So that's why we watered it really, really good, to make sure that it was saturated so that it has enough water to germinate and to go through its phase. That's probably going to take about 3 or 4 days, okay? 3 or 4 days. So we'll come back out here, we'll take a look at it, and you'll be able to see it pushing up. Once that happens, we'll move on to the next step. But basically, the starting place is put your soil in here, spread your seeds evenly, water them really good, cover it with the tray, put something heavy on it, right? I'm going to keep this in my tunnel just because it's good weather and all of that. If you were doing this in the house, you would do the exact same thing, right? right? You would put a tray on it, put something heavy on it. When I did them in my house, I just stacked a whole bunch of big thick books on it. It does not have to be fancy. I would say something that is at least like maybe 20 pounds or so is enough to kind of keep this suppressed. Now, when you're doing multiple trays, so for example, let's say I had done multiple, I had done cabbage, I had done broccoli, I had done sunflower, then I would just stack all the trays up, and then this will be my top piece, the black, and then I would put something heavy on it. So you can actually stack the microgreen seeds on top of each other, okay? So I'll come back in a few days and we'll check the progress and see how things are going. I hope you're excited, because I'm excited for you to see the steps from beginning to end. I'll see you in a few days. Hey y'all, it's day 4. And so I'm out here at the tunnel, and as soon as I came in, I saw that the microgreens have germinated. So I want to, before I take it off, I want to show you what it looks like when I say it'll be pushing up. So this is day 4. So I planted these, we planted these together, or sowed them on Wednesday. It is now Sunday of this particular week. So let me turn the camera around and show you what it looks like. So remember, we put this bucket on here just to add some pressure. And when I told you that they'll be pushing up against it and you'll be able to see it, can you see that? That is what it's supposed to look like, okay? So it's pushing up against it, and you can see that they've germinated. So now we're going to remove, let's remove the bucket. And let's see what they look like. Okay, you see that? We have very good sprouting and very good germination. Very, very, very good. So you can see what it looks like. Now, the parts that are green on this side is because they had pushed up and they were sticking outside of the black tray. So those pieces like that were getting some sun, right? So now we're going to take this tray off and we're just going to let this sit here and we are going to water it, okay? So let me turn this camera back around. Remember, we did this 4 days ago. I gave it a good saturation and a good watering then, and I have not touched it. I have not taken this off until I just showed you on camera. 4 days later, and like I said, it'll tell you when it's ready because you can see it pushing up. I know it probably seemed like you weren't going to be able to see it, but as you can see, as I just showed you, it's pushing up. So now we're going to remove this. We don't need this anymore, and I'm going to water this because it hasn't been watered in 4 days. And then, as you can see here, we have green on the edges. That's only because that part was able to see light. But now all of this will turn green, and I'll show you as it goes on. So let me get the watering thing. Okay, so I'm going to water this pretty good. And the soil is still relatively kind of moist just because it hasn't been as hot. It's been like 75, 80 degrees, but the sun is down now. So I put some water in, and I can see that it's kind of sitting on the top. So that is clearly enough. I might have did a little bit too much, but that's okay. It'll dry out. And that's it. Now, all the next step is for this to green up completely and to keep growing. Okay, so we're on day 4. I'll bring you back maybe in a couple of days and let you see what it looks like. So I'll be back in a couple of days. Okay, guys, I'm back. It's day 7. And so let's give you a quick update on the microgreens. So let me turn you around and show you. So this is what our microgreens are looking like. You can see that it is starting to yellow up / turn green on the inside. One of the things that I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to take it in the house because the temperatures are dropping. I really should have got it last night, but I was just so glad that I came in this morning and that they're still alive. So I'm actually going to take this in the house and put it under a grow light. And so let me talk a little bit about that. So the temperature got down to like 35 last night. And I remembered last night, I'm like, oh my goodness, my microgreens are out there. And I was just so glad that I came in this morning that I still had microgreens. So they were okay, even though the temperature got low. And so if I had to guess, when I closed the tunnel last night, like I said, I came home, the temperature, it was cold, and I just kind of shut everything down and wrote it down. It was like 45 degrees in here. So it should have stayed 45 degrees overnight. When I came in this morning, it's like 52. in here. So again, the microgreens, I would say between 50 to 70 degrees. But I'm going to go ahead and take them in the house because tonight it's going to get even colder. So I'll keep them in the house for the next couple of days. And then it's supposed to warm up again. So we're on day 7. So I'll bring you back maybe in a couple of days, day 9 or 10, and let you see what it looks like. But at this point, if you did not have a grow light, you can just take them to your house if it's cold and put them in a sunny window. All they need now is just sunlight to finish growing and to green up. You'll see it looks like I have some open spaces or whatever that will start to green up and fill in and all of that. We'll see what the finished product looks like, but that's what it looks like on day 7. So we are still doing good. You can see that it has some length to it a little bit. So we'll take it in the house just because the weather, that's the only reason. Otherwise they would just stay outside, and we'll give it a couple more days and I'll bring you back and let you see the progress. Hey everybody, welcome back. It is day 10. I'm in the house because remember I brought the microgreens in because we've had freezing or below freezing temperatures for the last 3 nights. So they've been in the house since the last update, and y'all, look at this. Does that not look like a bed of carpet? So you remember what it looked like at day 7. Remember we still had like some empty spots it looked like, but you see how it all filled in. It's like a bed of carpet. So now what we're gonna do is it's time to harvest them. So it's been 10 days and I probably could have harvested them yesterday. They haven't changed that much since yesterday. Some of them on the sides, as you can see, are like laying down. They're like, girl, get me out of here. I'm tired. And also I didn't water today. So one of the things, once you take the black top off, then you're gonna water it every day. And usually I just bottom water. So I have another tray that's up under this one and I put water in that one and bottom water, or you can overhead water. Just make sure that you don't get it too moist. But again, you want it to be like slightly damp. And you're gonna do that every day until you harvest. Because they've been in the house and my house has been warm because it's been cold outside, then I forgot to water one day. And that's why these are looking like that, but they're still good. They are still good. So now we're going to harvest. So some people use scissors. I found that a good kitchen knife works really, really well. Let me grab. Okay, so I'll use this bowl so you can see, and then we're gonna put them in a Ziploc bag. So the goal, remember I told you that you wanna get the soil up to the line, because if you don't, you run the risk of cutting into the dirt, and that way you won't have a clean cut. So the goal is to get a really, really, really clean cut. Let's see if you can see this. And you're just gonna take your knife and just go across. Just like that. So you can see like that one, I got a little bit of dirt on it. The goal is to not do that. Now, can you still eat it? You can, but if I was selling these, I wouldn't sell it like that with the dirt on it. I would have to rinse this. But the goal is to like just get a really clean cut to where you don't get any dirt on it. So I'm gonna just take my knife across, and again, you gotta have a sharp knife, and put them in my bowl. Now, people will ask, can you reuse this soil? Everything I've read says no, and I've never tried. And again, don't be trying to get like down to the bottom and get this little piece here, because again, I would rather have a clean cut than not, because what happens is I can just put this directly into my refrigerator. Like you see, I got some dirt on that one. So for me, I'm not selling these. This is going to be at my house. I'll take that part off so that way all of my stuff is clean. You can see how clean that is, right? So I can rinse them before I use them. But if I was selling them, then I could just put this in a bag and go ahead and sell as is, because they're clean. They don't have any dirt on them. Because once you rinse them, it's going to decrease the longevity of how long they will last. But I had these last in my refrigerator in the crisper part for 3 weeks. Like I had some that were left over from the last time that I did microgreens, and literally they lasted 3 weeks. So they last a long time. as I'm going through, if I hit one that has dirt on it, I'm just kind of getting rid of it because I don't want that in my bowl. But again, all I would have to do is just wash it. So I'm going to keep harvesting this. We'll see the whole bed, and then we're going to weigh and see how much we got. Okay, you can see that's what it looks like after I harvest it. Again, I'm not trying to get down to the very bottom because I would rather to have a clean cut of microgreens versus having dirt in them and having to wash them immediately, and they don't last as long. So let us, okay, we'll put this in here and see how much we have. We got almost a gallon size bag, which is what I had the last time. I want to see if I beat my record, but look at that. Is that not gorgeous? Okay, let's weigh it. We're gonna weigh it. Let me get it on pounds and ounces. I'm gonna tear it out. Now I could just put this back because the bag doesn't weigh that much, but just so that we get an accurate count, let's just tear out the bowl, add them on here. Last time I got 9.5 ounces. I want to see how much I got this time. Let's see. The average is 4 to 5 ounces per tray. So if you're talking to somebody who markets and who's selling these, it's like 4 to 5 ounces is the goal, at least, in terms of, you know, are you getting enough good yield? So it looks like, okay, I'm a little bit below where I was. I am at 8 ounces. Last time I had 9.5, so I had a little bit more yield. But you know what? I'm good with that because I still beat the industry average. So y'all, I hope you've enjoyed seeing the process from start to finish. You know what it looks like at each stage. I'm gonna put these back in my, my Ziploc bag. And this will just go in my crisper. And y'all, these taste so good and so fresh. So again, I dropped one. So good. So good. Now, is it like decadent? No, but it's good and healthy. You feel like you're eating something that's going straight to your blood cells and to your bones and all that. And again, you can use these in smoothies, so that way you don't even taste it. You can put them on wraps, on tacos, on salads, on the side of your plate, just if you don't want to make a salad. So again, some things that we eat may not taste the absolute greatest, but it certainly don't taste nasty, right? It certainly don't taste nasty, and it's healthy for you. It is so nutrient dense. It's going to do your body so good. And so this is just the cabbage microgreens. The other one that I normally do is broccoli microgreens. Those are the top two that I do, but they also have like a radish, like a spicy mix. I haven't tried those because y'all know I don't like radishes. So, but those are the two that I kind of lean in on. And again, I just eat them. You put them in an omelet, you could do that. So it's all good to go. Very, very good. So let's keep putting them in our bag and let's get a final, I see one little piece that had dirt on it. And again, I'm not selling these, so it's not that big of a deal. I can rinse them before I go to use them or whatever. But just think, in 7 to 10 days, this is enough, especially if you're single or only have a couple of kids. This is enough to last you for the week. And you can keep doing this over and over and over and over, right? You just put them in your freezer, not freezer, in your refrigerator, and you have some instant nutrition to put on sandwiches and anything else that you want to do. So anybody can do this. You don't have to have a greenhouse. You don't have to have a raised bed. All you need is a tray, some soil, and some light. You can use sunlight. And then you have microgreens and a way to get some healthy stuff into your body. So hope you guys enjoyed following along with me these last 10 days as we grew microgreens. I hope you feel encouraged to take the plunge and to take the step. If you have any questions, put them down below. If you've done microgreens and you have another kind that you do that you really like, put that down below. And then lastly, if you're not subscribed to my channel, why? Subscribe to my channel. Would love to have you a part of the community. But remember, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time.